Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness down the river of tranquility to fill the lake of life with love.
And good evening, our fellow lovers of love out there. It's been a rough night here just before I come in here into the studio tonight. My computer's just turned the computer on, everything, and the computer's just deciding that anything plugged into its USB device is going to start and then stop. So I was just getting this cacophony of doo-doo-doo, 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 doo-doo-doo. So yeah, and so I didn't have time to fix it. So we're on our backup system tonight.
Kudos to Mahoney for having a backup.
So we're all set to go, but we're a little bit discombobulated. But I guess that's pretty normal around us. So you can find us here at Late Night Love at latenightLove.us. You can send your letters, questions, comments, suggestions, blah, 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 to love@latenightLove.us. And in this candid episode of Late Night Love, we tackle the conversations you never thought you'd have, whether it's discussing ovulation with your fiancé, navigating a bisexual awakening with a straight friend, or handling a boss's impending firing. We're diving deep into the complexity of love and relationships, parenting, work, and intimacy. Join us for real stories, expert advice, and the courage to face love's toughest challenges. I guess expert in life just means you've lived a
got
while.
a lot of experience, I guess.
Yeah, you've screwed up enough that
you've made enough mistakes that you've learned some stuff. Yeah.
Well, you can hopefully that you've learned some stuff. But there's something came across my I guess it was yesterday. Came across my desk yesterday when they were discussing the mental load. I guess in context of what came across my desk, they were talking about the mental load of someone running a household.
Mm-hmm.
And how that mental load goes undiscussed. But we all face the mental loads that go undiscussed. It's not just, you could make an argument that the mental load of the housemaker is more discussed now than the mental load of the garbage man or the construction worker or whatever. Maybe they get two different types of mental load. They get the work mental load, but then they have to come home and still be
a contributing member of the household.
Yeah.
Yes.
In other ways.
Yes.
And, at 40 hours a week and a carpet walker, as we used to call them back in the days when we worked in assembly lines, if you're a 40-hour a week carpet walker versus a 60-hour a week, roofer, are the obligations different at home? At least a little bit.
I would think there would be.
I would hope so. But, sometimes those 40-hour a week carpet walker, God, I can't say, I'm going to have to stop trying to say it because I clearly can't say that today. Those 40-hour a week office workers, we'll call them.
Yes.
Sometimes that mental load can be just heavier than the mental load of an assembly line worker.
There's more moving parts.
It's, sometimes.
To keep track of.
Sometimes, not always. One of these things is we need to stop thinking that as an assembly line worker, one of the things I actually learned managing, helping manage and run assembly lines and being QA is that I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the guy inside taking orders.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the guy inside taking orders, going through things, figuring out the supply chain, making sure everything gets ordered properly, making sure all the designs are correct, going through all that. It all happens before I even see the piece of paper that tells me what to go make. And if we didn't have that guy to do it, guess what? Guess who'd be the one having to go in there and do it? Someone from the line would have to go in there and start doing that stuff. And then you're going to have the same problem, right? You're going to end up right back where you were, where there's this theoretical division between office workers and assembly line workers. When the reality is they can't do it without each other. Nobody has a job without the other one. There's nothing to do. If there's nobody making physically putting the stuff together, physically getting product or services out the door, then the salesperson job's meaningless. You can sell everything you want, but if there's no one to fulfill it, it's meaningless. But at the same time, if there's no salesman, there's nothing to fulfill. You can make as many widgets as you feel like, but they're just going to start piling up, and eventually someone's going to have to stop buying. There's no job there. And
So how can we all equally value all the different parts? I mean, because they're obviously,
I'm going to start putting your camera over there.
obviously, each part is necessary.
Yeah. There may be some bloat in one area or the other, but let's be honest, there's as many lazy roofers as there are lazy accountants, shall we say.
Okay.
It's not the laziness is relatively equal throughout the workforce, regardless of your job, task, career, whatever it is. What is it? 10% of the people do 90% of the work or something goofy like that, or half of the work or something like that.
Oh,
Well, yeah, because the really productive people are really, really productive. The non-productive people are really, really not productive. And, and the average person, there's kind of a fat middle in there. They do the middle of the work, but they don't how it works. It's a Pareto distribution. It's really goofy.
it is goofy.
How few people do most of the work. But then again, you have to go define the work. What is work? The person who files paperwork all day, maybe he's not as productive as your most productive salesman. But the paperwork still has to get filed. And your most productive salesman isn't going to be happy doing that all day.
I had a boss, he had this saying, he would say, aces in places. What a person is good at, that's where you put them.
Yeah, because why would you not? Now there is some cross training, and you can be better at your job if you know steps before and after you.
Yeah.
So there is some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the point is, when we're talking about mental loads, when we're all complaining about the ones we are bearing, legitimate complaints, we all have, every right and need to whine and moan about the mental load we carry from time to time. I'm not complaining about that. Just remember that everybody else is carrying their own. Just because it's different than yours doesn't make it less or better or worse. It's just the load we all have to carry. There is no time in human history where we haven't had to carry one. Sorry. I mean, maybe you can hear the story of the little culture that got to live on the beach, drink milk out of coconuts, and birds and fish fell out the sky and the sea, so they didn't really have to work all that hard to live. But that's the extreme exception to prove the rule, So that's all I'm saying. Just be a little more mindful that everybody is carrying a load. And you don't really know how big. So whine away. Just, just whine about your load. Don't compare it to others' theoretical loads you may or may not understand.
That's good advice.
Okay, so we're starting off again with work question.
All right. My boss is about to get fired. Should I tell her?
She probably already knows. I mean, unless you're completely oblivious, she knows.
Yeah.
She didn't get there from nothing or for nothing. So no, you don't have to. It's not your job, not your place. And yeah. So no, there's no reason to. It's not your business. Because what happens if you're actually wrong?
They changed their mind.
Yeah. Or you misunderstood what someone was saying.
Uh-oh. That would be bad.
Yeah. So, nope, mind your business. That's what you do. It's an easy one. Yep. Okay.
Why do we have to pretend to care?
Well, because you should at least care a little. If nothing, if not about the place that employs you, you should at least care about the work you do. Even if the work is mindless, meaningless, you as an individual should care about the quality of the work you do, regardless of your circumstances. Because if you don't care about the work you're doing now, you're not going to care about the work you're doing in 5 years, whatever it is. You think you're magically going to start caring about the quality of your work just because you find something inspirational? No, you're going to revert to type. So you don't pretend to care. You care about the work you do because it's the reflection of you. It has nothing to do with who writes or signs your paycheck. You do it because it's the right thing for you. Think of it this way. If you're not willing to sign your name to every single thing you do and be accountable for it, why are you doing it? You want to know why people who get ahead, the people who actually do get ahead, they take risks, but and they become accountable to those risks. Their bosses know that they're likely to fail, but they take the tough tasks anyway. And they succeed at that tough task because they're determined to maintain, right? It's got nothing to do with the task itself at that point. They're showing the people around them what type of person they are. And it may not be this company that sees that and notices that. It's some vice president of something that's coming over to have a meeting with your boss. They notice the person who actually does the work. No, it's not your boss. You've signed your name to that somewhere in there. And right, you're the person who can answer the question. You're the person who can solve problems. You're the person who gets noticed both inside and outside the company. And now you have this thing called a resume and a track record, and that's worth its weight in gold. Some things haven't changed. Your reputation is worth more than cash. Cash comes and goes. That's why you pretend to care. Because do you want the reputation to be you're lazy? Don't care? Why would anybody hire you? Why would anybody stick around with you? Why would anybody be your friend? You don't care about other things than yourself. Oh, they might hang out with you. Not your friend. Okay.
My boss asked me directly, but in a jokish way, if I had ADHD. Should I be concerned?
No. You're probably showing severe signs of ADHD, and he's trying to understand and, understand it, and in the most human way possible. And it was a little clunky, probably, but if you're a little scatterbrained, if you prefer to work in. I prefer to work in a little bit of chaos. I kind of thrive in it. It's a little bit ADHD, right?
Is
But
it?
sure it is.
Yeah.
You bounce from things. I don't mind getting interrupted and having to go do something else and come back to things. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Other people drives absolutely nuts.
Uh-huh.
Sure, 15, 20 minutes at the task, move on to something else. 10 minutes there, move on to something else. 10 minutes there, go back to the first thing. Yeah, perfect. So, but use it. Don't fight it. Use it. Figure out a way to use it. That's my suggestion. If that's a type of environment you thrive in, then use it. There's lots of environments where that is a skill, that is a known, useful, highly sought after skill.
It is.
So if you learn to harness that part of you, you can learn how to remember to go back to that thing 3 tasks ago. And you can figure out a way to be just as efficient bouncing in and out of tasks as it is as you are when you sit down, because that's part of the trick, is being able to sit down and hop right back into tasks.
Okay.
sometimes it takes people 10, 15 minutes, right, to get into a groove before they can. You've got to learn to be able to do that quickly. Sit down and boom, you're near full efficiency. The side effect of that, you can only do that for 15 minutes. That's the balance. Understand that, take advantage of it. Don't fight it, take advantage of it. But in order, you've got to be mindful that that's what you've got to do. You've got to be more mindful of how you work, create a system. I have stuff on the board, so I can always just look up, okay, what projects am I working on? There's like 10 things on there. Which ones are more important? What's today? The stuff that's on my keyboard, the stuff that's around there is the stuff that I have to deal with today. Sometimes it gets worked on, but you're waiting on other people. So it sits there for 4 or 5 days while you're working back and forth trying to get it completed. But it's the top of the line task, so it never gets over to a board. But when I've got time, I look over there. All right, there's 6 or 7 things I've got to work on, and I bounce through those throughout the day. And all of a sudden, everything's done. Well, no.
It's taking you all day.
It's taking me 3 days, all day, 5 days, whatever it is, because
Yeah.
projects roll in, projects roll out, that kind of thing. But yeah. Sometimes, hey, can you figure this out for me? Yeah, here you go. In 10 minutes, here you go. It's all figured out. You just saved $800. Congratulations. I'm really good at that, actually. And part of it is the boss gets lucky, catches me in a moment where I'm right between tasks. Perfect time to catch me to do something that's real quick. Oh, this is only going to take me 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, knock it out right now. Just because I don't want it sitting on my desk. I don't want to have to think about something small, but it wasn't all that small. It saved $800, which is $800 we don't have to go raise, or $800 that we raise that we can use on something more important.
Yeah.
So there's lots of reasons, but use it is my suggestion. Don't be concerned. Harness that as a power instead of a liability. Okay.
Is it acceptable to call clients away from my colleagues' phone calls?
I do it all the time.
He doesn't.
I do it all the time.
He wants it private. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. Sometimes I don't want my boss to hear what I'm talking to people about. Not because I don't want my boss to hear, but I don't want what I'm talking about to distract her from what she's working on. Right? Sometimes conversations are tricky, and in order for me to get there, I have to go through some things that my boss won't understand until I get there. And so it's none of her business. I'm working on, hey, I'm schmoozing people, woman, leave me alone. It's just other times I want her back there, or it's fine. Like just the other day I was, what the heck had happened? I was getting a quote for something from somebody and I needed it real quick. So I was talking on the phone and I couldn't remember the exact name of the organizations because it's stupidly long, right? And so what is it again? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. All right, I'm gonna have to look this up. And she belts it out, from the other room. Sweet, thank you. So either way is fine. If you feel more comfortable having a private conversation, I have an app on my phone that I can call from my desk from my cell phone. So I can call I can call in people I want from my desk right here if I wanted to. From my office desk. So then it rings to my cell phone. So I can walk outside from, have a private conversation if I need to. So I'm all with this guy. There's some conversations you just don't want prying ears to hear because you're schmoozing people and the process isn't always pretty.
Yeah.
And people are only hearing half the side of the conversation and it's easy to get misunderstood and you just don't want to have to go explain yourself to people because takes more time than it's worth. So you go outside and you do it privately. I've got no problem with it at all. Do it myself. So, and sometimes you just don't want to bother people. Sometimes it's conversation might be private. Not part of the way of smoozing is being personal. You have conversations with people, you joke around, and not everybody understands all jokes. And so and so a joke that the person you're talking to will relate to, your cubicle may not, right? So yeah, there's lots of reasons to want privacy. But there's also reasons, it can be helpful at times to have somebody who knows the answer to your question hear you and go and just toss the answer over the wall or through the wall. Sweet, just save me 30 seconds from having to go look it up. I appreciate that. So, is it acceptable? Yes.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
New employee. Is it always considered mansplaining when a man tries to explain something to a woman?
These are one of these things, these terms that anytime someone tries to explain something to somebody in a condescending manner, it is splaining. Call it mansplaining, call it womansplaining, call it people-splaining. It doesn't matter. Stop being condescending when you're talking to people. Stop assuming ignorance is the question. If you need to explain something to somebody, if you feel the need to explain something to somebody, start with questions, not with answers. That's my suggestion.
Start with questions.
Yeah, no one picked that up. Yeah.
Start with questions.
Yeah, you start with questions. You engage in a conversation. You're not lecturing. What happens is people with a lot of knowledge, or who think they have a lot of knowledge, they start lecturing. It happens. Trust me, I know. And it doesn't matter your audience. That's just normally that's just how that person is. Man, we blow it off because we've been blowing each other off for since we were 3. We've been rude and unrude to each other since forever. We don't take these things as personal as women tend to do. And because women take these things more personal than men do, it feels different. Because our responses are different. The responses men have to this kind of thing and the responses women have to this kind of thing are just different, generically speaking.
True. However, there's some people in conversation
Yes.
who are constantly.
Yes. But they do that to everybody is the point. Those people do it to everybody.
Stop it. I don't like it.
Nobody likes it.
Quit it.
If they could quit it, that's like telling somebody who likes chocolate to stop liking chocolate. It's not going to happen. That's how they are. Sadly, some people can learn to be more social graces, but the people who are highly annoying, they're just highly annoying.
And you know what? Oftentimes they are not very good at taking advice.
No, they're not. They're not the ones sitting here listening to tell us. The people who are sitting here listening to us talking about this are the people who are wondering, am I being too rude in conversations? If you're asking the question, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you are. Maybe you interrupt people too much, more than you should. Maybe you don't take social cues well. You don't know when to shut up. These are all things that you can work on. But if you're asking the question, you're probably fine. Because those are things you'll work on. People will notice. Your friends will tell you. Be more aware of yourself and your surroundings. Okay, great. I would suggest everybody do that. But don't become paralysis by analysis. Don't become a wallflower because you're afraid of stepping on someone's toes. My suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's not always considered mansplaining. Be respectful. As we said, start with the questions. Hey, look, we're having a disagreement here. So let's start with, what do you think I'm saying? Let's see if they understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
That way they're having to be the one explaining. And then when they that's not what I mean, and then you can properly explain yourself.
Okay.
So see if they actually, the way to if you got to do it properly, is you find out what they're actually interpreting, because that's normally where disagreements come into play. People are misinterpreting. Someone's asking a question and they're getting an answer that doesn't really answer the question. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's a misunderstanding, and it becomes, rather than a conversation, it becomes a lecture. And what the hell are you talking about? So, so is it always? No, not always. But yes, there are lots of people out there who are explainers
Yes, they
and
sure
and
are.
think quite highly of themselves and like to hear themselves talk.
I thought they were just insecure. They gotta be know-it-alls.
Oh, I mean, some of them are, but that's. I don't think that's insecurity. I just think they think highly of themselves. And you give us somebody who thinks overly highly of themselves, and you give them a little bit of specialized knowledge. And unless they're highly charismatic, they're buttheads. And so,
True.
yeah, it's just that way. Okay.
Is it bad that I'm quiet at work? I just wanna do my job and go home. Why is there an issue with that?
Well, there's not. Um, there's nothing wrong with just wanting to do your job and go home. Um, but sometimes being overly quiet at work can actually prevent other people from doing your work or you getting your work done properly, because most time work involves a team and you have to communicate with your team. But if you want to climb the career ladder at this particular place, then being a wallflower isn't going to do that.
Mm, no.
Now, if you're not interested, if this is, some place you're working at while you go through night school, and as soon as you're done with night school, you're going to go off and do bigger and better things. Sure, I have no problem with you just sitting there doing your thing, getting your shift over, and going home. You don't want to put in any extra thought, right? You've got other things to think about. Got no problem with that as an attitude. Knock yourself out. You'd be a great employee because you're just going to sit down there and do your job. You're not worried about anything else. Not worried about advancement. You're not worried. No, you're just going to come in, do your thing, and go home because you need the money and you don't want to be burdened by thought. Yeah. But if you're late 20s, early 30s, and you're thinking about careers and career advancement, even if not in this place, you're going to have to get over the wallflower stage. Or if maybe you just need a break this year, right? You've been working hard, been busy doing other things. And, I just need a mental break where I'm just not doing anything but going in, coming home and resting. It's fine. There's there's nothing, no problem. There's no problem there. But if you want a career somewhere, you're going to have to get off the wall at some point.
At some point.
At some
Yeah.
point. Maybe not here, but at some point. Okay. Parenting questions.
Yes. My teenage son is cheating on his girlfriend. He's 17. She doesn't know what to do. She's so upset.
You slap them upside the back of the head. The old days, you could do that. Take a ruler and slap him on the knuckles. All kinds of things you used to be able to do that he deserves at this stage. Well, if your son won't do the right thing, this is one of those times where your son is young enough where you can teach him that honesty is the best policy. If you're any older, it's none of your business. At 17, it still is your business.
Yeah.
And so you can either force him to be honest with his girlfriend, or you can be honest with his girlfriend. It's still you're just at that line where you can teach him a really important life lesson right now.
Probably one of the last for a little while. He's going to turn 18 and they get pig-headed.
Yeah. I'm reluctant, but because, a lot of times these kids have to learn these lessons themselves. But this young lady is probably not an adult yet herself, fully. Saying, sad. Though at 17, not unusual,
Not
uncommon.
unusual. Sorry.
No,
Not
not
unusual.
unusual or uncommon, but
Uh-uh.
learning how to deal with these things. This is your last chance to teach them how to be an adult. You're gonna have to figure out how to teach them how to be an adult. You know how to do that. You just don't want to because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
it is.
But you know what to do. So we got your back.
Yeah.
All right.
Baby 2 is on the way. Is it normal to be sad that my current family will be changing? This is from the dad.
Yeah, it's fine to be there your emotion, there's nothing wrong with whatever emotion you are feeling. You know, it's what you do with those emotions that becomes right, wrong, or or you can be judged. Not the emotion itself. You're sad for what you're losing because you're losing a nice, quiet 3-person family. And now you're adding a complication to it. That complication will be wonderful. It will become something that you can't imagine right now. But it's perfectly sad. It's perfectly fine to be sad for what you are losing is the wrong word, but f- for the change. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being sad. It's an emotion. You can't help it. It's going to be, it's don't beat yourself up for something you can't help, but you move on from it. You've got a family to take care of. And this new evolution of your family will be far more glorious than you can imagine.
And in a shocking amount of time, it's going to be like baby number 2 has always been there too. It happens so fast.
Yeah, but it's okay to miss those quiet nights where it was
Sure.
just you, your wife, and the baby sitting there watching whatever movie you and your wife were watching. Whatever quiet time, whatever those moments that you are cherishing. It's perfectly reasonable for you to say, "I'm going to miss those." And to be sad for the passing of that time. But don't get stuck there
Mm.
because they evolve so fast. Next thing you know, they're 7. Next thing you know, they're 17. Next thing you know, they're 30. And
Then they got kids. They're coming back home when they got kids.
yeah. So it's is it normal? Normal's irrelevant, but it's perfectly fine. I don't know if it's normal or not. But normal doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine. Your emotions are
It
perfectly
is.
fine.
It is.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you don't love your new baby. Doesn't mean you're not going to love your new, the new makeup of your new family or the evolution of your family. It's perfectly fine. All right. So I've kicked that one over to death. Okay.
I had my son. Now I don't get this. 5 months. Clean up dirty diapers he spilled. Mother-in-law said I went too far.
Okay. So how did a 5-month-old spill dirty diapers?
He was flamming around. She said, this has to be wrong. It has to be 5 years.
Well, what 5-year-old is dirty diapers?
I don't know.
So, well, you know what? If they're able to clean it up, then you didn't go too far.
But I mean, they were wrapped up,
Yeah, you just have them put them back.
and they.
So he threw a temper tantrum, knocked over the diaper pail,
Uh-huh.
and so she made her put the diapers.
They didn't put the diaper back in.
If he was able to do it, then there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
Now, you're asking him to do something he can't do, either physically or doesn't have the capacity yet to do. Then yes, you're going too far. But no,
He got it.
yeah, he did it. Then you go wash his hands, and you're all back to
Everybody's fine.
yeah. Tell the mother-in-law to take a hike. There's okay.
How long is life on hold when you have a newborn?
Life is never on hold. Life, that is part of life. Your life isn't on hold. Life goes really fast, but it's not on
Still
hold.
happening. Still happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little different. It's a little unique. It's a unique time of life, but it's not on hold. Don't think of it that way. You're thinking of this as a, I don't want to say a punishment, but like you're losing something rather than you're getting to do something unique and special. Your life isn't on hold. It's evolving. Just talked about how families are changing. You're changing too. Your life is changing. It will never be the same. It's not on hold. You're not going back. It's not like a phone call. You put it on hold and you can come back to it and continue the conversation where you left off. It's not how it works. So your life has changed. Yes.
Yeah. Right now.
A clear line. There's a clear line in the sand where it changed. It was actually technically 9 months before you had the baby, but you get some adjustment period. Hey, 9 months is fast out of 80 years, right? 9 months is nothing. So, no, stop thinking of it as change your attitude towards it. This is the first day of the rest of your life.
There you go.
And it's not just yours. You got the opportunity to do something beautiful, wonderful, and unique. Every child, every family is unique. So go off and have yours. Life is not on hold, it's anew. There you go. Okay.
Would you bring your 6-year-old child to a viewing of a close family friend who died by suicide?
Probably not.
No.
I probably wouldn't bring my 6-year-old to a viewing.
Anything.
Yeah.
Any viewing.
No, you may bring them to the after thing, maybe if it's a well-behaved 6-year-old and they actually knew the person or family. But as a general rule of thumb, until they're double digits, 10 or 12, somewhere around there, they can't really comprehend these kind of things.
Mhm.
I mean, unique children exist, so it's not a hard and fast rule, but double digits is before when you can start having to deal with these things. But only if there's a direct relation. Even at 10, if they didn't know the family friend very well, you're setting them up for failure. Now, you could add that you're also setting them up to learn how to handle these situations in the future. We could make an argument that we are, by not taking them to these kind of things, we are not giving them the skills to properly handle these type of things when they're 20, 30, 40 years old.
Okay, maybe for grandma or something. But, I think other than that,
Yeah, well, if there's a close family friend, right? How close? Was it a theoretical godmother? Is this someone who took them to Disneyland?
no.
Or if it was someone who took them to Disneyland, they went on family trips, they were a big part of the child's life. Then it's, or even just a big part of the family's life. Maybe the child, but they saw them a lot.
Uh-huh.
6, I might be reluctant, but
Mm.
8, 10, 12,
Yeah.
depending upon the
Depending
connection
upon the child, it really does.
and the connection. But I don't want to say no, never bring them, because children have to see how to handle these type of things.
Well, yeah.
6 might be a little
But
young.
I think your point, taking them to the after the viewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because that's when everyone talks about their memories, you
Yeah.
know.
But there is something to be said about teaching children how to manage their emotions.
Yeah.
6 might be a little young, but there's a lot of,
I think
there's a lot of
it's
adults who've
I
never
think
learned how to manage their emotions these days.
I think that's just a little too young.
I think it's a little too young myself, but I'm just wanting to toss out there that we have a lot of adults who don't know how to manage their emotions. And part of the reason is generationally, we have protected them from having to practice.
Uh,
They haven't had to go sit at a funeral for 2 hours and be quiet and solemn with everybody else. Manage their emotions with that. But if you are going to do it, let's put off a caveat. If you must or feel the need to at some point, set them up for success. Don't plan on staying long.
yeah.
So get them in, half hour, 45 minutes, get them out. Because drags on longer than that, you're asking for more patience than a 6-year-old really has, especially in that kind of situation. Okay.
How to turn down recurring religious invitations for my son. The sister, it's from a sister-in-law.
Just turn them down respectfully, turn them down.
Just keep, she's gonna keep on.
Yeah, don't make a thing out of it. And you never know. Here's the thing. Maybe your son is interested. I don't know how old your son is, but at some point he's going to have these kind of questions, especially if he has large portions of his family are religious. He has a right to explore his family's beliefs. Even if you disagree with him, he has a right to explore the rest of his family's culture, his history. You get to control that, how and when. Yes, you're a parent, but at some point you are doing him a disservice if you don't allow him to that exploration, the opportunity for him to say yes or no.
Could start very simply, like Easter.
Yeah, whatever it is.
A lot of people go Easter and Christmas.
Yeah.
That's about it.
There's 100 of them, though. We don't know what their religion is. I don't know what she's offering. It could be a Muslim religion, or it could be Buddhist, or Mormons or something. But the answer is fundamentally the same. Is if that's the culture of his family, he has the right to explore it. You have the right to control it. I mean, unless it's a cult or something, but that didn't seem like my family's in a cult. How do I protect my son from it? That's the same thing.
No. Yeah.
So she's doesn't believe in religion, and she's got someone who's probably with one of the 4 or 5 mainstream religions, and she's wanting to protect her son, in her view, protect her son from that. And it's a valid view, but the other side of the coin is he has a right to explore that for himself at some point when he's ready to make the decision, yes or no's.
Yeah.
When is that? 12, 14, 16? It's going to do it at 18, whether you like it or not. So, do it when you can control it. It's my suggestion. Okay.
I'm at a loss how to handle a possible furry situation emerging. She's 10.
Oh, at 10, you just leave it alone. You just let it be.
She's just 10.
She's just 10. And if it continues into 14, well, see, theoretically, in its proper place, there's nothing wrong with a furry situation.
There's nothing really.
I mean, it's its own goofy little fun community, but is it really any goofier than a bunch of 50-year-old white men who going around playing with model trains? Something I've been considering because wanting to have a model train set because I'm 50 and you want to play with model trains. I've half-heartedly looked at model trains, which kind the first thought, I'll get a video game. I'll play model trains. I know there's something different. So anyway,
wow, this is great.
I didn't say I was doing it. I'm just saying, as a 50-ish somewhere-year-old
That's what
man,
you do.
That's what you do. Some people buy sports cars. Some people play model trains. Some people go golfing.
You know what I considered?
What's that?
Growing tomatoes.
So there we
I'm
go.
63. I'm from Ohio. It's what we do.
It's
We
what we
grow
do.
tomatoes.
We grow tomatoes. So it is entirely possible, though less likely than you're probably worried about, that she'll have furry, a furry as part of her culture. But at the same thing, so what? There's far worse things in the world than to be a furry.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
if,
So,
you know, you don't necessarily have to encourage it, but allow it. And I would do my best to not denigrate it. Because if you really want to have her when she hits her teenage years to lash out at you and have a way of rebellion, is you put your foot down about her being a furry type person.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna guarantee she's gonna go emo furry. And I don't know if we want emo furry in your family. So that one's like an almost 100% guarantee. If you try to put your foot down, you're creating an emo furry, and that's just recipe. So don't do that.
So let her have her onesies. She'll be okay.
Yeah, sure. Let her ask for those things for Christmas. You don't have to buy them for her for regular outfits, but on Christmas, birthday, she asks for them. There's worse presents you can be buying her.
There you go.
Okay.
My fiance is angry. We got relationships.
All right.
My fiance is angry that I didn't tell him when I ovulated. Did I lie by omission? They're trying to get pregnant.
Yeah. Did she just not think about
She
it?
just spaced it.
If you spaced it, you didn't lie. Lying is something that you have to deliberately do. Now, maybe your subconscious is kind of telling you that the stress isn't worth it right now.
Maybe just take a break and let's see how things happen naturally.
Well, the problem is they're not young anymore, and so that doesn't work as much. He's 40, which is fine for him, but she's 36. Well, the problem with being 40 is you're not as active as you used to be. So that ovulation week, that's prime week.
Oh.
Right. If you're really trying to have a baby,
Mhm.
Ovulation week is prime week. And so from his perspective, I don't understand why he's upset, because from his perspective, he's got years. She's got 3 or 4. It's not that big of a hurry. So my thing is, they're probably really stressed out about this, which, guess what? Your body does not like. Bodies tend to, not like it's 100%, but your chances of getting pregnant are less when you are stressed.
Yes.
It's not near zero. It's no, stress is not it's not a birth control method.
No.
But the chances are less. Just be clear. Yeah. Let's not be clear. They're not a birth control method, but the chances are less. And so when you're talking about limited months, she's got what, 4 years, 3, 4 years, realistically.
Yeah.
So she's down to 48 ovulation cycles, and from a practical man's perspective, I kind of get how he can get there. Hey man, that's now 47. We missed one. We've only got so many chances left. But he forgets that she's an emotional creature. She's not a logical creature. And so you've missed paths, and he's an idiot. I can understand the thought process, but he's an idiot, because that's one of those things that doesn't leave your mouth. You're supposed to have the filter, but stops it from actually leaving your mouth. Maybe that's the difference between some of us. Some of us know when to shut the hell up. Oh, that thought?
That took time to figure out how to do that.
That thought that wants to come flying out? Nah, that one's better in the head. We'll leave that one in there.
I actually review thoughts. Do they really need to know that before I share?
Is this going to be useful, or is this just going to make me feel better? That's a good one to think about.
There you go. Yeah.
Is this actually useful, or is I'm just doing it to feel better? So, you did not lie by omission. your fiance is probably overreacting, but if you do want to understand where it's coming from, he's thinking logically, and he's an idiot. So if you want to approach him about it, you say, "Your logical thinking hurt me." You know what? You won't understand it first, and then you explain it to him. So look, I get it. That there's only so many of these left, and so missing one is a huge thing for you. I get it. But the pressure is
Just-
stressful,
yeah,
and
that can
yeah,
be harmful.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not helpful. I just
That,
forgot. I wasn't lying. I just forgot. Didn't occur to me. Have that conversation. Okay.
Okay, I hooked up with my straight friend, and now I'm not sure what to do. Now, he's bisexual.
Uh,
It's just his first male
uh.
relationship.
Well, there's nothing to do. You just let nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you guys one of those drunken night things? Was there an explanation or something?
No.
No.
No, they were just hanging out and started making out, and things just what happened, and
Well, I don't know. With his straight friend. Well, one, they're at least both
they're
bisexual.
friends.
Yeah.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you've crossed the friends line. Now, luckily, men can put the friends back thing. Men, unlike men and women who can't. Right? Once you break the friend
No,
thing, you can't go back.
you're done.
Men can go back.
I know they can.
Yeah.
I
So,
can't.
so if there's, so you don't have to do anything. So the thing to do is think about, well, what do you want to do? Is this just a thing? Was it a one-time thing? Is it a lonely friend thing? Is it, when you're both lonely and shall we say excited at the same time? Is you know, all right, you can give each other a helping hand, so to speak. Is
Oh, ha, ha,
I'm just saying,
ha.
but figure out what you want out of it before you can figure out. You can't approach your friend without knowing what you want or not. Maybe you don't want anything. Maybe it was just a one night thing. It wasn't necessarily a mistake. It was just something that happened, but there's no real there. So you just move on. You know, or maybe it becomes, hey, we're lonely this month, so you've got haven't had any action for a while. You've got a backup. Don't know. Maybe it becomes a 2 a.m.
No,
booty call.
they got a lot of options. I think they need to. How can he approach? How does one man approach another man on this?
Well, the same way any two persons would approach any two persons on this. The sex, the genders doesn't. Two women would actually have the same approach, but you can't approach anybody until you know what you're thinking.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to spend some time with your thinking. Now, the thought process is might end up being, I'm confused, I don't know, and then you can go to your friend and say, I've thought about this and I'm confused and I don't know. Okay, we've talked through this. But until you got it clear in your own head, you don't know what you're going to go talk about.
Okay.
So you at least have to get to, I'm confused, I don't know, right? That's a baseline, but you got to spend a couple hours inside your own head to figure that out. I don't know what to make of this. Let's go talk to Steve and figure it out. You know? Or maybe it's, I'm not interested in a relationship. It was fun, but if it pops up again, it pops up again. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who knows? There's a wide rainbow of possibilities, but you have to figure out what you do or do not want.
Okay. I was wondering how the conversation would go because I know how it goes between a man and a woman, and how you have to approach it in a different perspective, more from an emotional level.
No,
With a woman, wouldn't you?
no, it's the same. Fundamentally, it's the same. You can't approach if you, let's say, you and your friend, you guys lonely and bored, you ended up sleeping together, and how do you approach the conversation the next day?
It depends if it's a man or a woman, how I would approach it.
So I don't.
It really
I
would.
don't think you can't approach the conversation until you know what you're thinking,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and what you're thinking is going to define how you approach the conversation.
Okay, yes.
Hey, that was fun, but I think we probably made a mistake. We should probably avoid that kind of thing in the future. Hey, that was fun. Maybe every now and again,
hmm
those are easier conversations than I'm confused. I'm not sure. Can we talk about this? So it really depends what you're thinking, how you approach the conversation, because it's about you until the conversation starts. But you have no idea what they're thinking. So you can't have that pretend conversation in your head. Because that's just you talking to yourself. Not the other person talking to you. That's just you talking to yourself. You got to figure out what your side of the conversation wants. And then you go and you have that conversation. And then you start from there. The conversation will work its way, its natural flow. But or you could do nothing and wait till then for them to bring it up. That's the lazy man's way. Gonna let Steve bring it up.
What's wrong with you guys?
Well, someone has to
can't
start it.
do that.
Okay, so you're just determining who's going to go first, right? Whose job is it in this particular role? Whose job is it to start the conversation?
I always try and bring things up if it's on my mind. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Sit and wait and see what they do. Oh my God, no.
Oh, I said that was a lazy man's way.
Maybe it just lays there forever like a thorn in my paw.
Well,
No.
if it lays there forever, it tells you something.
So you just don't talk about it?
And there's nothing to talk about.
Oh my. Yes, there was.
No, clearly there wasn't, because neither one of you felt enough to talk
Something
about it.
happened.
Yeah, something happened, but if neither one of you feel enough about it to talk about it, then there's nothing to talk about.
Not even talk about it?
What?
It didn't mean anything to you?
Maybe not.
Oh my God.
Maybe they were just bored and wanted to rub one out, so they used each other. And there's nothing to talk about. Not saying it's, but you're saying it's not possible. Okay, what's next?
My boyfriend's ex-girlfriend is creating TikTok videos about me. What can I do?
Ignore them.
How are you seeing these?
Well, because it's TikTok, you follow people, and so
Oh, unfollow.
well,
Unfollow.
yeah, but if you follow people who follow people who follow people, it 6 degrees of separation.
Oh my gosh.
So I just wouldn't. These are the kind of things you just don't worry about. They go away if you don't get a response. Type of thing. Generally speaking, don't feed the trolls has always been my theory on these type of things.
Just don't feed.
Just
Okay.
don't feed them.
Swipe right.
It goes away. It goes away far faster, because what they're looking for is you to respond, because that creates the legs. They're just yelling to the wind. Let them yell to the wind. They're not worth your response. What does the lion care what the hyena says? Type of thing. You are too high to worry about such trivialities. Same.
Now, what do you care what this little minx is doing?
Yeah.
She's the ex for a reason. I mean, now we know what it is.
Yeah, now you know why they're ex. I mean, if it gets to a point where it's legitimate harassment where you can, go to the police and that kind of thing, fine. But my guess is just making stupid TikTok videos. And if she doesn't get the response she's looking for, she'll eventually go find something else to do.
She's waiting for you
Yeah.
to react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she can feel like a victim and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
How do I move forward in a relationship after my boyfriend let his brother move in a woman and her baby without asking me?
Are they living with their brother?
No.
Wait, I'm confused.
The boyfriend and the girlfriend had a house.
Mm-hmm.
They let the brother live there.
Okay.
Well, the brother and the boyfriend decided this woman and her baby are gonna move in, and they just did it, and they didn't ask her.
Whose house is it?
It's the boyfriend and the girlfriend's together. They rent it.
Oh, it's a rental.
Yeah.
I get. This is one of those things where blood is thicker than water, and so what do you do? How do you move forward? That's a good question. I don't know. It's going to be one of the rare questions where I don't think I have an answer.
It's gonna be a day at a time, is what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
And you will become attached to that baby, and that's okay.
well, maybe not, because maybe that's it's a relationship breaker because they're still young, 22, which is one of those things on both sides. They're 22, 25, 20.
You don't have to like the parents and be smitten with the baby,
Yeah.
okay? And then, and
She seems to be more hurt that they didn't talk to her about it
yeah,
than
yeah,
the
they just
situation itself.
yes, they didn't talk to her.
Yeah, that's what she's upset about.
Yeah,
So I don't think it's the baby thing is the issue. I think she's mad that, and rightfully so, that they made such a big decision without even saying, "Hey, look, we're thinking about because of X, Y, and Z. You know,
and
this makes logical sense."
and that
And
kind of stuff happens. I don't know about this young lady, but I'm thinking, what's next are they gonna do? What else are they gonna do to make a decision about my life
yeah, and
and
so
not tell me?
yeah, at least tell me beforehand. Say, "Hey, look, we're thinking about this." You can tell someone you're doing something in an asking way. Yeah. At least have the respect to do that, to have that kind of conversation. Say, "Hey, look, my girlfriend," which I'm assuming is his brother's girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the baby didn't say the brother's baby, so
Yeah.
it's its own complications.
It is.
That's its own complications. But you can see why a brother's got a new girlfriend, and things are going well enough. Let's save some, especially in this economy. Let's save ourselves a few bucks
Mhm.
by dividing it. Having another division of costs.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense, but you can't do that without having a discussion with people, and so be upset with your boyfriend. That's your boyfriend's fault that he didn't have the discussion with you. Not that he's got to stand up to his brother, because he was going to make that decision. Let's be honest. He's going to help his brother out because that's what
Yeah.
they're going to do. And so, and so the real problem is that they didn't have the discussion with you beforehand. And so stick to that. Don't make it about anything else. Stick to that. And that way he actually knows what the problem is. It's nothing else. Resist the urge to pull up back stuff. Resist the urge to complain about the new situation. Just bring up
and I would feel insulted that I wasn't trusted. I wasn't trusted enough that I was gonna make the right decision. You
Yeah.
just went around me because you didn't know what I was gonna do. Is that,
Well, yeah. Well, they are 20, 25. So they're old enough where that kind of thought process makes sense because you haven't learned yet. This is his chance to learn. Oh, this is her chance to learn that, relationships mean that all these conversations have to be had. Even if she's going to, even if he knew, he may have, oh yeah, she'll be fine with it. Well, yeah, she would have if you had freaking asked her. Right? That's likely what happened here. If you had freaking asked her, she'd have been fine. But you didn't ask her, so now she's not fine. She's not fine because of what happened. She's fine that you didn't ask her.
You didn't ask.
And so stick it to that. Stick it to, look, we just have to be clear that, we're in a complicated relationship. We have to be open and honest with all our conversation. You knew I'd be fine with it, so why didn't you talk to me about it? And he says, because I knew you'd be fine. Listen, dummy. I'm fine because we have an open conversation relationship. That's why I'm fine with these kind of things. Because our relationship is, we have open conversations. We're free to discuss things. That's why I'm okay with these kind of things. If you pull this kind of stuff off, it's hard for me to be okay with things. So ask me next time, for the love of God. What am I going to do? Show up someday with a boat and a pool? Going to decide to, hey, let's get an alligator? I don't know. Can we talk about things before? So she's a lovely girl. I love the kid. They're fine. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at you.
Digit.
Yeah. Freaking moron. You are now taking me to dinner. Okay.
My ex is mad that I told his mom and aunt the truth about what he did. He cheated.
Yeah.
She told his mom and his aunt.
Well, let's be clear. They're 19 and 20. But why would you just not move on?
Well, because she was lashing out. Hello.
Well, yeah, clearly. We know this. But here's the thing. One, what do you care if your ex is mad? Let him be mad. It's an ex for a reason.
Yeah.
But you are setting yourself up for how you respond to things. And is this the way you actually want to respond to things? You want to have these high emotional responses every time something negative in your life happens. And you're building a habit.
Yeah.
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 And is going nuclear really the response you want? I get the instinct. Tell his mom. Mom will teach him a lesson. Yeah, she will. But I don't know. In the cold light of day, doesn't seem very womanly, does it? That's how we talk to men.
Womanly.
Well, I would have said manly, but it didn't. But
Well,
that's how we check ourselves.
Actually,
this is a question how we check ourselves, men.
It's not very graceful.
Not very ladylike.
Yeah, ladylike. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, this is how men check ourselves.
But
It's when we think about things. Okay, you could do that response, but tomorrow morning, are you going to feel manly about it? No. Then maybe you should think about that. That's how we decide not to do things. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to feel manly about that in an hour, am I? No. All right, never mind. Felt like a good idea at the time. Feels like a really good idea. Yeah, but in the cold light of day, it's not going to feel like a really good idea, is it? No. I'm going to feel about this freaking big. So no. All right. There's nothing I can do then, is there? No. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you have to set it to let, karma, God, whatever it is.
You gotta, sometimes it takes a lot of meditation to get zen with it,
Yeah.
But I do want to put that kind of energy, intention, anger out into the universe, because I'm going to get it back.
Yeah. You You're
you know?
just on a pure energy conservation thing, thought cycles. Why do you want to waste the time? You could be spending those thought cycles on literally anything else. So, you know, from a pure efficiency part of it,
Mm.
why do you want to waste your time on it? Okay. We're right there.
My girlfriend is unhappy with my height. What to do? Now, I should say he's 5'10" and his girlfriend is 6'2". She asked if he was tall before they went and started dating, before they met. They
Mhm.
met online, and he said, "Yeah, I'm tall."
No, 5'10" isn't tall.
Apparently not.
You gotta be at least 6 feet or more to be tall.
But she really liked him, but now it's starting so they continued to see each other, and now they're, you know,
Yeah.
they're monogamous, and, but now it's starting to really irritate her that he's shorter.
Well, if it didn't irritate her before, there's something else there, and the height is just
An
or
excuse.
or someone is giving her a hard time in her group.
Mm,
I mean, if you're a 6'2" woman, you've got to have. It's difficult to find someone taller than you. I mean, there's lots of people that are taller than you, but you got to find one that's interested in you, and you're interested in.
just because they're tall doesn't mean it's gonna be magic.
Yeah, just because you got to find someone who's 6'3", and interesting. Oh my god, and meet all your other qualifications. If she's going to have a happy life, she's going to have to learn how to adapt to having, 4-inch differences. Stop wearing high heels. Stop making it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, if you're 6'2", at least you get to wear flats. You don't have to worry about high heels.
There you go.
You're already taller than everybody else, even though that's not why women wear high heels.
You know why we wear high heels?
Yeah, I know why.
Because it makes our legs look great.
So she's gonna wear them anyway. So there's nothing for you to do. You can't grow. You're 23. Sorry, you're not gonna grow any taller. She's either gonna have to deal with it or not. So, and maybe she can't, or maybe she just is. Other things about your relationship are wearing on her, and the height thing is how it comes out. You know how stuff comes out sideways. Yeah.
They are in their early 20s, so yeah, it's classic.
Relationship could have just run its course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My boyfriend is in love with his best female friend. How do I break up with him when I'm 9 months pregnant?
Okay, when she says he's in love with his best female friend, is it really in love, or is she having that 9-month everything's dooming thing going on?
Well, they're spending a lot of time together. He's including her in everything.
But hasn't this always happened?
And, yeah.
So she's getting the 9-month nesting thing going on, and she's in protect her family mode.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. I completely understand it. But take a break, take a breath. Because your life was about to change dramatically. It just will.
And so will his.
And so will his. Not going to have all that time.
He's not going to have enough time. Not like he used to.
So
it's going to be different. He's going to be spending more time with you.
Yeah. So
yeah. And
just
le bebe.
And just because his best friend is female, I mean, this is the modern world. Just because your best friend happens to be the same or different sex doesn't mean you don't have, just as likely as we found out earlier that you can get involved with your best friend as a male too.
Yeah.
So, so that is not really your concern. If your concern is, the real concern is that you're not going to get the attention you need next month. that his attention will be divided between his friends and his family. But, have a little faith. There's always now, oftentimes, if it's a first baby, men can have an adjustment period. They don't know what to do that first baby. They're completely clueless.
And let him do things his own way, and rather than correcting all the time, because that makes them scared to try anything new. It makes them not want to try to do it again. You know, it's if you can remove yourself from the room, that's helpful. It was helpful to me because I had a hard time not saying anything, or my hands going, "Ah," you know. So so I would have to actually leave the room. "Let me know when you're done." Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually, this is probably, there's always a chance that something's going on and she should think about leaving and all that. But I'm going to guess this is probably that nesting protection thing going on. And she's feeling more needy. And instead of responding to the fact that instead of knowing she should be needy, she's more needy right now. And he probably should. And responding to that need, he's probably spending more time with his friends because he knows in the next 6 years he's not going to have much time for his friends. And so he's kind of getting that last, let's go do let's go bowling, whatever it is they do as friends to, to bond or to pass time or whatever. They're going to go get some of those out because they're not going to have that chance anymore. Or he's a walking dolt. There's always that. Just completely oblivious. Those of us do walk around. Just completely absent.
She may actually have to tell him, I'm going to need more time from you.
Yeah. You may actually have to. Huh? Hey, I need you to solve me a problem.
Ooh.
I got a problem. Can you help me? Can you help me with it? Sure, I can help you with it. Okay, this is going to be hard, but I need more attention from you because of the stress I'm going through. The baby, the growing up, it's stressing me out. Got this whole nesting and emotions, hormones rushing, things going on for me. I just need more attention from you. I don't even know what that means. I just need more of it. And they go, you start off with the problem to solve. He becomes in problem solving mode. Then you present the problem to him and let him solve it.
His way.
Yes. It's not going to be what you imagine.
It's really not. If you're expecting fresh flowers, forget it.
Well, it might be. It might be how he solves it.
It's actually what I see most men will do is they will try to improve your life. They will fix things around the house they'll notice things about your day, and they'll pick things that make little improvements, so there's actually a lot of brain work involved.
Yeah. So present it as a problem. Say, I've got a problem I need you to solve. Don't talk about the best friend. Don't even talk. That's not the problem.
No,
The problem
not
is
the problem.
the problem is you need more attention from him than he's giving you right now. And so you say, I've got a problem. Because of all the hormones and the emotions and the stress, I'm needing your more of attention from you. I don't even know what that means, but that's what I need. And let him figure it out. Okay. All right. So we are on to intimacy questions.
Yes. Okay. Now, I don't know how much of an intimacy question this is, but it was in the category.
Well, it's a life question, so it fits us. So this first one's a life question. How will
Yeah.
we leave that?
Okay.
Okay.
Has anyone ever found that they replaced cutting with masturbation? My girlfriend apparently has. Well,
Congratulations for your girlfriend.
yeah, huzzah.
She has found a way to deal with her stress.
It's stress. It's a stress relief.
Yeah. When she gets stressed, instead of thinking about cutting herself, she thinks about pleasuring herself. That's an improvement.
It really is. We're making progress here.
Yeah, that we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
So whether it's Who cares if anybody else ever has done it?
Yeah.
My guess is there's nothing new under the sun, so probably has. But she's making progress. She has transfers that emotion, that need into something less destructive. Depending upon how often the thought process hits her, maybe not even destructive at all.
Well, apparently it takes up a good bit of time, but I mean, she still works and
Yeah.
eats, and she's taking care of herself and stuff. But it's her hobby now, as well as a mental health tool.
Well,
It's something she does quite often.
now that may become a problem. Like anything else can become a problem,
Uh
right?
huh.
But it's a far better problem than thoughts of ending yourself.
Yes.
Your reaction to stress is, okay, I'm going to go give I'm going to give myself mechanical pleasure and release the stress, rather than I'm so stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I want to end it. So it's a far better problem to have. Even if it falls into sexual addiction issues, it's far better problem to have, because it's solvable. The other problem isn't solvable. You go too far, it's not solvable. You can go too far, but it's solvable.
Mm-hmm.
This is a solvable problem. So I congratulate her. I'm proud of you. Be proud of her. I mean, that's a huge thing.
That's beautiful.
I love
That's a step because
Yes.
it's a step in recovery.
Yes, she's no longer surrounded in darkness.
Yeah.
Yes. And just be proud of her for finding her way out of darkness. Yeah. So be proud of her. That's my suggestion. Okay.
Okay. My friend and I enjoy frequently sending each other nudes, but she says she is straight. She's confused. She's confused. She's straight too.
Uh-huh. So you got two straight people sending each other nude photos.
And they've been friends, since grade school. And they're girls, and they're just showing off.
Yeah.
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 They don't want to do that with guys, because guys want you to look at their junk.
Well,
They're just showing off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what the question is. Why are you confused?
She's confused. Is she gay? Is this
No.
a sex thing?
No, well, it is. Well, look, naked women are far prettier to look at than naked men. So the fact that women would send naked pictures of each other just to look at, why not? Doesn't mean you're necessarily interested. But in this particular case, since they're childhood friends,
They've been friends
since the beginning of time.
Yeah,
It's like,
for how they're 22 and 23.
yeah, it's the one person.
So like 15 years,
Yes, hey, there's just mole on my butt. What does it look like? Those are the person you can talk about that with, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a thing because it's not a thing. And so don't make it a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. You're doing it because it's how your relationship works. Is it a little weird? Maybe, but so what? It's fundamentally meaningless except for you two. It's clearly not sexual. And even if it was, so what? But you guys aren't getting any sexual gratification from it. You're just saying, hey, you look good today. Or look at this jelly roll, whatever it is. They're probably working out, probably looking good. And they say, hey, I'm looking good after the workouts today. This is probably what they're doing, right? It was kind of my guess. It's that kind of thing.
Progress in their fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Feeling perky.
The goofy stuff you send to your best friend when you're 20s. There's nothing wrong with it. Knock yourselves out. Here's a suggestion: delete those pictures from your phones. So don't upload them to the Google Cloud. Just But just because our phones are more public than people realize, right?
Oh, they really do.
Yeah, your niece or your cousin or your brother or something needs to make a phone call. Hey, I need to call my phone. Yeah, it's right there. Next thing you know, you accidentally, what is this? And you got your best. He gets to see your mams. You know, I didn't want to. That's not what I was
You
looking for.
yes, man.
Yeah, so that's my suggestion.
Uh,
I don't make a big deal out of it. It's probably not. But I understand in today's world where, our sexuality is, put on, lots of people wear their sexuality on their sleeve, so to speak. It's easy to think about things that you otherwise wouldn't. You know? So don't worry.
okay.
Okay.
So I squirt a lot. Should I be warning people?
Well, you should probably be laying down towels, I suppose, if you know that that's
You
gonna.
know it.
I mean, that's the only warning I suppose you really need.
You could
Guys
be
aren't going to
You could
complain.
be no,
It's a woman going to complain.
not really.
It's
No.
no. So just be prepared for it. That's all.
Yeah, actually, you tell them, look, I squirt a lot. Ooh,
When you start laying down a big thick towel
nice.
before you lay down, what's this for? Trust me. So should you warn any people? I don't know. You can make the warning sexy. Like we've just given you two ways to do it. So, but yes, you should be prepared. You don't want to ruin somebody's couch or their their mattress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay.
Can rhythm be taught? Okay, apparently her friends with benefits is good at everything.
Uh-huh.
Stellar.
Uh-huh.
But doing like in a missionary position or something, no rhythm. None at all.
Quit complaining. For the love of God. Let him have a flaw. Jesus criminy.
But she'd like to have a good pounding, you know.
Well, I get it. Then try a different position. Missionary is not an easy position to have rhythm in.
Is it really?
No, your back hurts, especially the older you get.
Huh. I
It's
forget how old they were.
yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Missionary is not a good position for that kind of thing.
Huh. Okay.
If you want that, you have to move down the bed to like wheelbarrow, or there's all kinds of different things you can do. But if you want a good rhythmic, you're going to have to change your position because clearly things don't always line up properly. So,
Okay.
Height differences,
Yeah.
legs, all these things have to work out. So, find the things that work out. I'm complaining. If everything else is fine, that's the only complaint. You don't have much to complain about. Sorry to tell you. You're being a little greedy here at this point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're pretty lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try different positions. Rather than complaining, try something different. Make it a little easier.
Get on top.
Use some pillows.
There you go.
Okay.
Will masturbating ruin my experience when I finally have sex?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, it's a completely different thing.
It is. Apple, oranges. Definitely. It's two different experiences.
Now, there is an argument that, there's two arguments with masturbating. One is masturbating beforehand can make you last longer. And the other one is over masturbating can make you overly sensitive. And so then you can't complete the task, shall we say, in a non-manual way.
Huh.
Because you become overused to, what's the word? Over acclimated to a certain style of.
Oh. I see.
So.
Huh.
But when you're talking about your first experiences and stuff, no, it's not going to have any impact on that at all. So you well finished too fast, and and yeah, so you will ruin your first experience because that's what we do.
Ruin the first experience?
Yeah, because we're clumsy and unknowledgeable.
The first time with anyone, because usually you built up for weeks, so the first time you
Yeah.
do it is just hello.
Well, and the real
Yeah.
first time is you're oversensitive, you're over ready. Everything is literally working against you and having a good time.
Sorry.
It just literally is. So those of you who have a great time on your first experiences, accept that you are the unicorns
Yes,
and
you
be
are.
happy for that. Yeah. Okay.
Which is really nature's cruel joke because you remember your first time forever.
Oh,
Nature's so cruel.
nature is a cruel mistress. This is true.
How can my partner pleasure me if my way of pleasuring myself is grinding? Okay, she's a virgin right now.
Oh, well, don't worry about that because there's different ways of what you will learn is there's different ways of pleasure. You will have different types of pleasure. So stop worrying about it. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. Don't overthink it. Even though how does grinding on yourself become the way of pleasuring yourself is a
No, grinding like teddy bears on teddy bears and stuff like that. Pillows, you know.
oh well then she's in for a real wide awakening when she finally gets around to having yeah. She's not even approaching scale 3, right? On a
I know.
scale, yeah.
I know.
She's not even using herself or her tools. She's just kind of rubbing.
Yes.
Good Lord. What's going to happen when she actually has,
Look, it gets a vibrator.
or real experiences,
And then, yes,
Good God.
it's
So,
going to be a whole new world.
yeah. How sheltered is she?
Well, she's only 19.
All right. Just even if that's still pretty sheltered at 19 in this
Yeah,
day and age.
it
So
is.
it's where she's middle of nowhere. She in some farm town in Ohio. Is that
I don't know.
she locked away? Because she certainly isn't in LA. Just saying, there's no way she's in LA. All right, last question for the night.
That was the last question.
Oh, that was the last question for the night.
Yes.
Oh, and here I am. I'll not even knowing what time. Oh, wow, we went long tonight too. All right, that's it for me and Lovey tonight. We want to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can find us at latenightLove.us. You can send us your questions, comments, suggestions, blah, 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 to love@latenightLove.us. And from me and Lovey, have a great night. And please remember to love everybody.
Good.